Welcome back. I'm Ken Rakowski, and this is the Voice of Disruption. I get this incredible treat, which I want to share with you, is one of my idols, somebody to whom I've looked up to for years and years and years, one of my mentors' idols, and he has transformed your life. He has changed your life in so many ways. We're sitting with Mr. Nolan Bushnell. Hey, Nolan, good to have you here.
Always fun, Ken. You know, I got to tell you, you've done some great stuff for me, so back at you.
All right. Well, I'm still honored. Chuck-E-Cheese, ATARI, I know we just throw these out. You created these companies. First, I want to start with the idea of creating a company. Because you created, of course, transformable companies, companies that change this planet. Did you think big when you were starting with the idea?
Yes and no. ATARI actually started, we thought ourselves as a studio for this new technology. We had no factory, we had no process, what have you. And so it was a bit, getting a royalty seemed like a good gig.
It wasn't a big idea. It was just, hey, let's make some money.
Yeah, exactly.
Make some money, and it turned out to be really big when, in your mind? Was it when you were pitching Sears?
No, it turned out to be a big business when we opened up the cash box for the first Pong game 3 days after we installed it, and it was totally full.
Oh, wow.
And so all of a sudden, when you see an opportunity, you either decide to go for it, and kind of greed kicks in, and you say, you know, if I build these things, they're pretty simple, and I can do all kinds of things. And Pong really allowed us the cash flow to get a factory, to set up procedures. I mean, we didn't know how to buy parts, we didn't know how to quality control.
You were learning through the process.
Learning through the process, and you make a lot of mistakes, so you've got to have good margin to pay for that. And Pong allowed that.
So as you were going through this new transformative change in the industry, because video games became more pervasive, you started seeing them, you saw a change in your business because you knew that culture was really important to make a really good dynamic company. You did some things that were a bit alien to most companies, especially in, let's call it, the high-tech world. What did ATARI look like, and why was it so unique?
Let's put it in context for a minute. Just, 30 miles north was San Francisco, Summer of Love, Haight-Ashbury, all that. And part of the ethos of the hippie movement was smash the state. What they were really saying is process is dead, merit is everything. And let's change the world. So much of the world is driven by recipe.
Okay.
And when you start breaking the recipe, you're an anarchist. And I felt that ATARI needed to be the first total meritocracy that had ever been created.
How did you do that?
We had a manifesto, and it sounds very trite right now, but we said, treat every employee with dignity and respect.
Okay.
And that
was unusual to do back then?
Yeah, because what we really wanted to say is, okay, I'm CEO, but I'm just one of the people. And we do different jobs, but our ego is equivalent.
So you created instead of a top down, it was a flat.
Very flat.
Flat, which today is what we want to see.
It's normal.
So back then, that must have been a mind blow for most who came into your business to even, who wanted a job. They didn't understand that, right?
Well, more than that, though. We basically said, you can come to work when you want to. You can leave when you want to. You can wear what you want to. And that's okay.
It was all performance metrics.
Yeah. And if you don't perform what we expect of you, we'll fire you.
By the way, a sidebar is that was actually good for the team that made Breakout, which was one of my favorite games, because the developers of Breakout worked at night.
Correct.
Because they apparently didn't have the best cleanliness.
Right.
And
Steve Jobs, well, not only that, Woz actually never worked for ATARI.
Oh, Woz didn't?
He was working at Hewlett-Packard days, and he would hang out with Jobs at night, and they would do stuff. So, cynically, I used to say I got 2 Steves for the price of 1.
And they made Breakout.
Yes.
One of my favorite games. I think
Extraordinarily good.
But Steve would do that at night because if it was during the day, he would actually probably have bothered some of the other employees.
No, he did, and I put him on the night shift because, everybody said, you got to fire this guy. And I said, no, there's a place for everybody of skill in a company. It's our job to figure out how to make it work.
Nolan Bushnell is joining me. Nolan has created so many different companies, from in-car navigation to robotics to, of course, we're talking about a difference in the fast food industry. You kind of created fast casual.
Yeah.
Which we'll touch upon in a moment. Let's go back to ATARI real quick. So if you're hiring people differently, by the way, you weren't just looking in the general vicinities, you were finding people that were from almost anywhere in a proximity of a bus ride in most respects, right?
Yeah, we used to send buses to East Oakland, I guess it's West Oakland, because there was an awful lot of unemployment. And it was a thing where I wanted to have a very open and successful company. We were the highest employers of the Vietnamese boat people that came in.
So why don't we ever hear these stories? Why do we hear more about, Atari and how it was the first game platform, or you as a leader? We don't hear about the company itself. Why is all of these incredible statistics and things you've done in the past never really been brought up to the surface?
Well, I'm one of these guys that, in general, I'm focused on what I'm working on now.
Not what you did.
Not what I did. I don't want to live my life in the rearview mirror.
But I don't think it's about you living your life. I think other people want to see what created who you are today by what you did in the past. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think by utilizing it as a platform of your foundation is important. Unfortunately, you have no one tooting your horn for you, and you're the only one who could do it.
Well, maybe. But the other part that I really want to know is that we had equal pay for equal work as part of our charter.
So what you're saying is it was as if you walked into what Google is today, or trying to be today, you were already that 30 years ago.
No question about it.
Wow.
In fact, we almost blew up a deal with the Irish Development Association. We wanted to have a factory in Ireland. And because they built a building for us and all that sort of stuff, but we had to have an Irish union. In the Irish union, the only thing that they really had a problem with us was equal pay for equal work.
They didn't like that.
They almost blew up the deal because
Why?
of it. Because they felt that it would undermine the family in Ireland.
Because equality wasn't something they would preach. They wanted the male to be the top.
Bingo.
So Nolan, let's move up to today. You always look at things that are disrupting the planet. What gets you excited right now?
I have 3 big threads right now that I think are very important. One is education. I think education, if we don't fix it in America, we will become third world in 20 years. College is dysfunctional. Student debt is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that one of the big problems today is so many people have student debt coming out their ears that they delay family formation, which is dropping the birth rate, which has a whole bunch of nasty
issues.
stuff.
So you're looking at, one is education, fixing that. What's
Fixing
another
it.
two? What's the other two?
Recidivism
From prison.
from prison. And I believe that if we can essentially rehabilitate rather than just punish, that we can add a percent, maybe even 1.5% to our GDP.
That's incredible.
It's massive, massive.
But one issue, very similar to the education side, they're both businesses and they want reoccurring business. That means more people in the prisons on a regular basis puts more money into the prison system, which is a for-profit entity.
But they also have
That is a
political components. And I believe that political components can always be changed because I think long-term truth and efficacy, what you have to do is prove efficacy. If you come up with these wild ideas, there's always this thing, oh yeah, if we had all kinds of money, we could do all this stuff.
But
it has to be cheap and it has to be effective.
Got it.
And once you can prove both things, then it just becomes viral.
And what's your last? You got 3 things.
I really have to split between the future has no constituency, which means that everybody can see jobs that are going to be lost, and it's very hard for people to see the jobs that are going to be created. And so what I feel like I need to be is a proponent of the future. What I'm afraid of is in the next 20 years, we will see a reemergence of neo-Luddism. And the Luddites were...
Want Luddites around the world?
Huh?
We don't want any more Luddites.
No.
You know how much tech phone calls you have to do?
Bingo.
Yeah, it's all there. So you said the word jobs. I want to make sure people understand that. That is one of the words in one of your most famous books, Finding the Next Steve Jobs.
Correct.
Which people can go download or get over at Amazon.com. Because again, Steve Jobs was one of your employees and you knew exactly what was going to make him who he is today. And by the way, remember also Elon Musk looks up to Steve Jobs. So theoretically, you trained Elon Musk. Nice rocket. Yeah. All right. So Nolan, people want to find you, hunt you down. Where do they go?
NolanBushnell.com.
That's it. That's where he is. Like I said, this guy has changed the planet, changed your life. He's disrupted everything. Nolan Bushnell, Ken Rakowski. You're listening, watching Voice of Disruption. We'll be right back.